And your first game, Cleveland and Cincinnati. The first meeting between these two was incredibly entertaining. 96 points. Derek Anderson threw 5 TDs in that game. He now sits 4 touchdowns shy of the Cleveland franchise record for TD passes in a season. Opposing quarterbacks complete 66% of their passes against Cincinnati. I expect lots of offense in Ohio. What do you think?
Well, I saved the knives for the cabbage shredding commercial. Last time Cleveland played Cincinnati, there are 11 passing touchdowns, and Cleveland won 51-45. Today, Jamal Lewis's running will be the difference. He's averaging 119 yards in his last 4 games. Josh Cribbs can contribute a return for Cleveland. He's the league leader. Cleveland owns more defense than Cincinnati and is the choice.
Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ocho Cinco, which would explain the 85 there on the satellite dish dangling from his neck. Cincy trying to keep the Browns postseason list today. Not very festive of them.
Who's been nice? Why don't we start naughty? Who's been nice this season? Who should have great presents?
The nicest guy, I watch him on the sideline, Wade Phillips.
Quarterback in Cleveland, Derek Anderson.
Brett Favre. Brett.
He is Santa, isn't he?
Tom Brady.
I've never seen Favre and Santa together, though. The playoff team most likely to melt in January like Frosty the Snowman.
Well, there's only one. The Giants, if they get there.
The G-Men. Yeah, I thought the melting might be taking place as we're speaking. We're not in January.
As far as I'm concerned, the Giants have already melted, so I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
Remember back to week 2. It was one of the wildest games you can remember. Derek Anderson making his first start for Cleveland against the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Jurevicius, touchdown. Later with a 1-point game, Anderson to Joe Jurevicius, touchdown. Browns led 20-14. Later in the second 1-point game, Anderson to Kellen Winslow, touchdown. You getting the feeling here? Browns up 27-24. Anderson to Braylon Edwards. It was a touchdown. Now wait a minute. Something's wrong with this tape. You mean a rushing touchdown? Oh, by the way, Jamal Lewis had 216 yards on the day. You got to give him 1 touchdown. But he always runs well against the Bengals. He did go all the way. But then, don't think that the Browns are going to run the ball that much because Anderson to diving Edwards, it was a touchdown. And that barn burner back in week 2, complete with 96 points, over 1,000 yards of offense, not to mention 11 TD passes, 6 of them Carson Palmer, and a 200-game rushing for Jamal Lewis. That was the start of something special for the Cleveland Browns. From the hot seat for Romeo Crennel to the playoffs, if 9-5 Cleveland can win the rematch at 5-9 Cincinnati, their Ohio rival to the south. There are many reasons why the high-flying Browns are surging. They've scored more than every team in football but 3 of them. Add this to the list. Last season, quarterback sacked 54 times. This year, 17. And so the AFC playoff picture pretty easy. The Steelers now, because they played 1 more game than the Chargers, would be the 3 seed, but the Chargers have the inside track if they win out. New England 1 and Indy 2. The Jags win, they're in. Cleveland wins, they're in. Tennessee, the only one left alive. They need toes to be stuck. Who's better right now? Steelers or Browns? That division is up for grabs still.
Boom, I give the edge to the Cleveland Browns. And when you start thinking about those skill positions, Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow, Jamal Lewis, who I think is getting stronger going down the stretch, Joe Jurevicius as a second receiver, I think that they match up better right now with most of these playoff teams than do the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm still concerned about Pittsburgh, the game they played against Jacksonville, where Jacksonville was more physical than them.
Tommy, I'm not going to disagree with you, but here's the thing. The Browns right now, they can't beat the Steelers. The Steelers have their number right now. You cannot get to the next level until you beat the teams at the next level. That's what they have to find a way to do. That's the only way they're going to become a great football team is go in and beat their biggest rivals, actually, are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And boom, as odd as this sounds, I recognize the Pittsburgh Steelers more for being the Steelers after they lost Willie Parker. Then they ran more like the Pittsburgh Steelers, looked like a more physical ball club.
No, they did. They ran it a lot, Tom, that's for sure. On a 1-game basis, though, boy, the Browns, with all the points that they can score, they are dangerous. But maybe Pittsburgh overall, like Coach said, the Steelers have the Browns